and welcome to another episode of the Latin Chamber of Commerce Leaders in Action. And today we had a very special guest with a huge background in IT, technology, computer science, and all related to our devices. And for that, we are welcome to Jaime Leon Jr. How are you, Jaime?
Hi, you're doing good. Thanks for having me.
That's excellent. And also my co-host in this program, Maite Salazar.
Well, thank you for joining us today. This LCC Leaders in Action podcast has been amazing, interviewing our participants and graduates of our different series for the Business Accelerator series and for the Leadership Development series. And we're really excited to hear from our guest today, Jaime Leon.
Junior.
Jaime Leon Jr. Yes, Jaime Leon Jr. Yes. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your story, your journey, and what got you to do what you're doing?
Well, I started in IT maybe in 2010. Back in 2010, I was a computer instructor. That's where my journey started. I taught people that were computer illiterate how to use computers, Word, Excel, Microsoft. This is how you turn it on and off. Very basic stuff. From there, my boss noticed that I could fix a computer, so I became the break fix guy, right? So I started going around all these centers that we had and driving around and fixing all the computers. And from there, I worked for a few IT companies for a while, and I found out that I had a knack for it, right? Mm-hmm. And I figured, okay, I really like this. And back in 2018, unfortunately, I got laid off from my job. They did some cuts, and I decided to start my own business in IT. And once I did that, initially, when you start a business, the phone doesn't ring. So I had the wonderful idea of going back to school and finishing my bachelor's degree, which was a horrible idea. But I did it. I went back to school and I got my bachelor's degree in civil engineering at UNLV, all while starting the business. And it started to get busy. The phone started to ring. And so shout out to all my college friends that helped me with taking notes while I had to go take meetings. And so it was a stressful time, but I got through it and eventually sold that business in late 2023. So I operated for about 5.5 years and then went more on the sales side of things. I really enjoyed talking to people, networking, business development. I think it's a passion of mine that I was missing in the entrepreneur part, where I just felt that I needed to more FaceTime with people versus the computer, being behind a computer. So that's in a nutshell where we're at now, right? So I just go around town meeting people, right? Shaking hands, kissing babies, and doing it all with a smile.
Hey, Jaime, usually the IT guys, they're really always in the background. They don't socialize, they don't do networking, but you had both experience. You had the tech part and the knowledge and the school, and you had the career, and especially when you started it, and then COVID comes, and owning a business, a small business, is really a challenge. How you overcome those obstacles today in your career?
You know, it's funny about COVID. I thought that once COVID hit, we had the introduction of the essential worker, right? Mm-hmm. And I thought I was not going to be an essential worker. I thought business was going to go down, and the opposite happened. I got super busy because then everybody went home, and all the office workers needed somewhere to set up in their house. And now we had a different problem. Like, now we're walking into people's houses. They have their own internet speed, their own routers, and they have dogs that could bite you. Right, okay. So then my insurance had to be covered. So that's how I overcame that challenge.
It's so interesting to hear that challenge. It's not a challenge you've ever heard about.
It's a thing, because some people had dogs, and you walk in, and I was like, does it bite? But I think leaning into the technology, right, using Zoom, using Teams, and educating people, right, getting the right camera, the right microphone, and one thing that I've learned back in the day, I wanted to be a YouTuber, and one thing I learned was people will forgive bad image, bad video quality, but they will not forgive bad audio. So I would tell people, if you're doing meetings and you're doing business meetings, make sure you sound well, right? And so I think that little extra kind of helped me as well. So I don't know if that answered your question, but I kind of leaned in, yeah.
So
no, go ahead. No, because I was thinking, and now everybody's influencer, no, right? Yeah. Today, everybody's influencer. Oh my God.
You can influence in a good way and a bad way.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
So what makes your business unique?
For us, well, we specialize. One of the things we do, we specialize in the construction industry. So we're in IT for construction. That being said, we service a vast array of clients and in the community, but one of the things we specialize in this vertical so we can help with CAD files, without getting too technical. Yeah. Like, I'll give you an example, right? We also specialize in medical, right? And dentistry, we have a dentist office. So we had a competitor IT that was replacing computers for a client. They weren't a client yet, but they were replacing computers and they didn't have the knowledge industry. So they went and replaced a computer that was pivotal to their business. And it was an X-ray machine, went down. They couldn't replace it right away. They were down for about 3 to 4 days. And so that's like a $2,000 machine. They tried to replace it with a regular machine. So when you have somebody specialized in IT, you understand the industry knowledge, you understand we wouldn't have made that mistake, right? Because we wouldn't have said, okay, that's an X-ray machine. We can't replace that. We need to plan ahead for this. Mm-hmm. So those type of things that people may not think about is really where you have a niche IT that understands your business. It's really one of those accelerator things for sure. Plus, a lot of ITs only work with Microsoft. We work with Google as well, right? Okay. We will cover those people and se habla español.
Yeah. And we're not talking about what company who start with H and it's Chinese. No, yeah, you know what I'm saying. No, and you're right, because COVID changed to be digital. Mm-hmm. When you talk about CAD, it's architects, and the blueprints now is digital. And my background is construction, so I remember having the big blueprints go through, and you had a big table, and everybody comes to to read the blueprints, and it was a mess. I mean, even just to carry the blueprints. And today, you with the company, you had schedules, you had everything. The changes are, right away, and that's really cool. And Jaime, being so busy, and today we know you are so busy, how you find out about this program?
Well, I found out through a colleague of mine. I was attending one of your events, Desayuno con Amigos, and somebody told me, hey, you should really think about joining this program here. It's meant for leaders. It teaches you about business. And I'm all about, self-education and just being part of the community there. She mentioned, hey, I went through it. It was really great. You should definitely go through it. So for me, I was in attendance of the events, and it was through word of mouth there. And that's how I met Maite.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
So going through the program, did you do both programs, or did you do just the Business Accelerator?
The Business Accelerator is what I did.
So in the Business Accelerator, that was an 8-session series. So it was a pretty long series, and I know it was like a fire hose of information, because Assured Strategy, they work with clients, and it's over a period of years where they're training them on all this information. So they were kind of giving you the condensed version. But with all that said, what was your biggest takeaway or your aha moment, or did you have an aha moment?
Yeah, absolutely. My aha moment was I don't know everything. So
oh, you didn't know that
before? I found out right then and there. Coming in, I think the thing that stood out the most, the session that stood out the most for me was talking about the different personality types, right? The DISC profile. I'm a big advocate of DISC. I'm a high D and a high I, and so I understand myself very well. I just didn't understand others as well. And so getting to interact, because we did breakout rooms, right? And then we have different personalities there. And it always seemed that I was always the high D in the room, and everybody else was more like the high C, right? Or the S, and they cared more about the people, empathy, and I had to learn to modulate. And I'm like, how would you handle this, right? So one of the things I did is I gave them an example scenario of what happened at work, right? Hey, this happened. This was misinterpreted. This was some miscommunication. How would you have handled this? And give me your perspective. And then they would. And I was like, I didn't even think about that. It didn't even cross my mind. So I think that was one of the first things that I just learned to modulate my speech a little more and to realize that people have different personalities and they handle things differently. And not everybody's going to be as outwardly expressive as I am, right? Or as driven or as like short to make a decision, quick to make a decision, if you will. So some people are slow to the take, right? And they're a little more shy, and you have to give them that space. And, I'm still learning, right? So I'm still developing as a leader. And I think the course definitely helped tremendously with that.
As a leader and business owner, an expert, professional expert, this program challenge you to do better, because when you mentioned that, to me applies to networking events, apply for sales, and apply to your customers. When you listen now you listen better to your customers, and you understand, because believe me, I agree. Sometimes you are in a hurry because I need to make this appointment, I need to move the next one, and sometimes you are not there. You are just focused on there, and you lose the touch with the customers.
Right.
So how this program challenge you?
I think one of the main reasons that I was consistent with it was that because of that challenge, because it forced me to think differently in ways of, okay, if I were to have 17 employees under me, right, this is a dream of mine, right, to have that big of a company, then I want to be able to be a good leader and be successful with my people, and, not be that horrible boss that, just have to listen to because you get paid, right? My boss, he has a retention rate, just so you guys know a little bit, I'm going to nerd out a little bit, but in the IT sphere, typically a technician will have a lifespan about 3 to 4 years, right? Our longest employee, I think, has been there 9 years. And so that speaks a lot to him as a boss and as a leader. People want to stick around. They're loyal to him. Even when they leave, they try to come back, right? And I go, sorry, baby, can't. But no, but we have longevity.
You got a divorce.
You got to go take other people now. But yeah, so I model myself a lot after him, and he's very type S. He's very empathetic, and so I'm learning from that and leaning more into that, and really engaging with the type S has helped me a lot. And I think that was probably my biggest challenge there. I mean, as far as there was a finance section, and I was all about it, and I was writing stuff down and taking screenshots and annotating things. It was all good and well, and I've heard it in the past, right? I went to business school, but really, I didn't understand in business school why they have you go to psychology class until I got out of school, and then I realized, okay, that's why.
That's why. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is so interesting because we keep hearing that from people, that the DISC profile had a tremendous impact, because it changes your perspective on other people and why people react differently than you do, why they respond at a different pace than you do, and why it's important in your communication, right, with each person, because everyone is receiving information differently and is motivated by different things. So you want to keep good employees.
Yes.
You have to talk to them in their language.
Yes.
And what motivates them. And not everybody's motivated by money, which is interesting. Some people are motivated by money, some people are motivated by other things. And so understanding that is really important. With that said, I know that you talked about the DISC profile. Was there a specific coach that maybe impacted you the most, or a specific session separate from the DISC?
I think Dave definitely had a great impact on me, just because he mentioned he himself was a high D. And he humbly in that session said, I'm not the easiest to work with, right? And I really put myself in those shoes, and I can realize sometimes the way that I come off, it can be very direct, right? Like high Ds do that, right? We communicate very direct, to the point. I don't need to hear the play-by-play. Just tell me, just give me a summary. And hearing how he interacted with his employees, with his staff members, and kind of helped me a lot to kind of model myself after, and just really take a step back and pace myself. So I think Dave definitely stood out to me, and I forget her name, forgive me, but she did the financial section. Michelle. Okay. And yeah, she was stupendous. She was awesome. I mean, I've seen spreadsheets, P&Ls, but then the way she broke it down was so simple. It was just, above the line, below the line. That's what she means. And you have to be there to see what I mean. But
well, and the power of one, that power of one worksheet, wasn't that amazing? How your pricing and discounts and how all of that impacts And so you have to really understand that, because just because you give a discount and you have more volume, it doesn't mean you're going to make more money.
Right. Exactly. And like seeing it broken down and like the chart live change.
Yep.
We were already changing our pricing, increasing our pricing, and that was one of the bigger impacts that she put on there. So that was very reassuring for me to see that. So I was like, oh, okay, we're in the right direction here. So that was awesome. That was great. I wish I could get a hold of that sheet, actually.
Well, you actually, you can. And right now they're still under contract. So reach out to Michelle and send me an email if you need her email address. I can resend it to you, and she'll respond. Just make sure and put in the subject line Latin Chamber so that they know, to respond. If you don't hear back, let me know and we'll follow up, because sometimes it ends up in spam. Okay. But yeah, they will. I always say, connect with the coaches. Take advantage of this time, because they're under contract. They're going to respond. They're going to answer questions. If they feel they're not the appropriate coach to answer your question, they will refer you to the coach on the team that will have the answer for you.
Great.
So it doesn't, and so look at the handouts. Use the handouts. Apply the handouts, because right now you might have questions, and those handouts are as simple as they seem. They're so practical to put into practice. So.
That's great, because we notice that applies for every single industry. That's different view. So it's the way you see it, how you apply your business. That's the most important thing. And Jaime, you had a solid career. You went through the whole formal education. You got your bachelor's, and that's very difficult. Bachelor's degree you got is difficult. If you ask me, I will say no. I'll do plumbing. That's easier. I will do something. Not that particular field. When you take this class, the Leaders and Actions, because you had a formal background, education background, how reshaped you for the future?
I think it taught me a lot of discipline. Right, a lot of grit, and this is one of the things that I wanted to speak on specifically on here. There's a certain stage when you, as an entrepreneur, when you're a business owner, you have your startup phase, right? And then somewhere in the middle, you start hiring employees, and then you go through the muscle and field, meaning you push through no matter what it takes, work 16 hours, what have you. It's not sustainable. But it did teach me to be in that phase, right? Because then I would go to school, right? Work, study long hours, and then work on top of that as well. And so having that persistence and being resourceful with my time and being creative, time management as well was a big thing for me in that way. But now I'm in a phase where I'm learning more so delegation, right? Processes, systems, automation. That's really what scales a business, right? So going from startup to muscle and field to now like systematizing, it's a journey for sure, and I'm enjoying every part of it. But I think mostly it taught me, hey, have a lot of discipline, have grit, and keep your word, right? That's I have a personal mentor, and he's always told me, make sure you keep your word. If you can say you're going to be somewhere, and be there at that time. And if you're not, then don't show up, right? And I think when it comes to school or just owning your business, your word is everything. I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
Your word and integrity. Because
Absolutely.
you sell yourself, no matter what you sell, but you're selling yourself. Yes.
Yeah, and I think having integrity, like you said, is really valuable here, especially in this community that's a small, big town, right? Everybody knows everybody. And so you want to make sure that you do a job well done for everybody and you communicate. And I think that's helped me tremendously throughout my career.
That's right.
Well, with all that said, is this a program you would recommend?
1,000%. I don't know why you wouldn't take it. I mean, it helped me tremendously. Like I said, it opened my eyes to a lot of things that I did not know. So I say yes, absolutely do it. It's a commitment of 8 weeks. What is it, an hour? We did an hour.
An hour and a half.
Yeah, and then you get to meet people and you get to network and you form those bonds. You get to see some familiar faces. So there's no reason not to do it. So 1,000% I would recommend it.
And Jaime, in closing, and because how you see the Latin Chamber of Commerce inspire you to be better, and I say this because we had a previous conversation when I told you we need to know guys like you, professionals like you, because usually we're into the square. Oh, I had a laptop problem, and then you go to the big box company and takes long time and money in order to solve a little problem. So we need to know more about how the Latin Chamber of Commerce and this program, Leaders in Action, can inspire you to reach out better.
I think you guys are already doing it. I mean, just doing this now, right? Just spreading the word, word of mouth and just getting out there, marketing and really being a part of the community, creating these events for us to talk in and to actually expand our knowledge and disseminate that to the public, right? Because as time goes, we're going to see with AI, everything's going to move more rapidly now, right? You talk about the floor plans, the blueprints, and doing everything writing, and then switching to the computer and how much faster things get done, right? In construction, not that much faster, if you ask me. Right?
Wait till the robots start building.
And we'll go boom.
Pretty soon, believe me, that will be.
Yeah, and I think with AI now being present and becoming an integral part of businesses, we're going to see some government, I wouldn't call it interference, but more involvement in the community. And
red tape.
Yeah, policy. Policy is going to.
Red tape.
And I can definitely see a time where, you know how we had like our personal insurance and it was optional and now it's mandatory? I think we're going to see the same thing with IT. It's optional as a business owner, but then if government gets involved, it's going to become a mandatory thing. And so learning more about that, and I'm open to doing programs and speak, so, do launch and learns and talk to people about these things. Like, hey, these are the 7 core things you should have as a business owner to protect your business, right? And so, just giving free value out there, really. So I think the Latin Chamber gives us a podium to stand on for that. So I'm very grateful for that.
Okay.
And we will advocate for our small businesses always and make sure that government doesn't intervene to the point where they're charging payroll tax on AI agents.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Don't give ideas out. Don't give ideas out, Maite. Don't give those ideas out. Remember.
No, trust me. They've already thought about this.
In any stage of your business, your main partner is government, period. I mean, so don't give ideas, please. Let AI free.
They're always thinking about how to tax us. So, no, so now, Jaime, in real closing, we want you to speak into the camera. Tell us about your business. Tell us about you. Tell us how people can get a hold of you. And you can do it in English and Spanish.
Sure. So I'm Jaime. I'm with Advantage IT. We're an IT. We're what's called a managed service provider, an MSP here in town. And the way to get a hold of us, AdvantageITS.com. Or you can go to any social media and just search us up, Advantage IT Services. And from there, we post a bit and we talk about cybersecurity issues, AI. Or you can search me up. My name is Jaime Leon Jr. on LinkedIn. And then you can tie it in from there. And we serve as a small and medium-sized community. Like I said, we specialize in construction. But we have big players here in town that are our clients and have been for a long time. So we want to get the word out there and be more known that way. So.
And also en español as well.
En español. Ok.
Yes.
Pues me llamo Jaime León. Trabajo por una compañía que se llama Advantage IT. Somos servicios para la comunidad en informática y arreglamos computadoras. También les enseñamos a la gente cómo usar las computadoras y también las arreglamos, pues, y consultantes también para los negocios y las empresarias también. Gracias.
That's great because you're a local company. We always in Latin Chamber of Commerce, business is great. I mean, we support all kinds of business, but we focus on local, small Nevada businesses. So we are proud to have you as a member of the Latin Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you.
And your professional service. Muchas gracias, Jaime.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Jaime.
And for that, we are closing this episode with Jaime León Jr. And see you next time for the next one.